if you are committed to earning that money, if you're committed to helping your parents, if you're committed to making a difference in the world, you will let go of your stories, your reasons, your excuses. You will become the type of person capable of achieving every one of those goals. So, are you interested or are you committed?
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted greater success in your life but feel stuck and unable to attain it, then do we have the Innercise show for you. Today I'll be talking with John Assaraf, one of the leading mindset and behavior experts in the world. John has built 5 multi-million-dollar companies, written 2 New York Times bestselling books, been featured in 8 movies, including the blockbuster hit The Secret and Quest for Success with Richard Branson and the Dalai Lama. He's the author of a phenomenal new book for moving past your subconscious blocks, Innercise. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about the new science to unlock your brain's inner power. That, plus we'll talk about guerrilla warfare, brawlers and street crimes, habits, catamarans, and Bora Bora, creme brulee and tiramisu, becoming Scottish Hairdresser of the Year, and what in the world MRIs, snakes, and clowns have to do with anything. So welcome to the show, John. Are you ready to shine?
Let's rock and roll, Michael. Great intro. Great to be here with you.
And a mighty woohoo! Great to have you here as well. Oh, love it. Since we're talking about rock and roll, what was your lifestyles of the rich and famous dream growing up?
I see you've not only read the book, but you took copious notes. When I was a young boy, my father was a cab driver. My mother worked at a local department store. And there was always a lot of fighting going on about why aren't we going on vacations? Why do we have to get secondhand clothes? Why is everybody else have more than we do, from a materialistic thing and from, I guess, a fun perspective. And my brother and sister and I used to watch this TV show called Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. And we used to joke around that one day we'll be able to live that kind of lifestyle, that we saw on TV. And so that was probably when I was, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. That show was pretty popular. And many years later, I had met a mentor after I was getting into a lot of trouble with the law. And he asked me a question. He said, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? And I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff onto this one document that he gave me around how much money I want to make, what kind of lifestyle I want to live. And he said, these are pretty good things that you want to achieve. They're pretty grandiose things. Where did you get these ideas? I said, well, from the TV show, Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. And so it was a really interesting vision to have when I was a young kid, to live a great lifestyle.
Awesome. So you're 19 years of age. You're sitting down with this guy. You're working minimum wage. You'd been a brawler and into street crimes and petty theft and all of these things. And what did he tell you? He's eating something nice and healthy. You're eating a burger and fries. What did he tell you?
He was noticing how I wasn't really very healthy. He was noticing that I was very, very limited in my view of the world. He was noticing how I had these limiting beliefs and these self-image challenges, and how ignorant I really was. And what was really interesting is when he asked me, what my goals and dreams were initially, I said, well, I'd like to, leave my parents' house so I could, move in with a friend or get an apartment. I'd like to buy my first car, and I'd like to leave the shipping job that I was working at. I think I was making, $1.65 an hour, maybe at the time. And I was miserable doing that. But I was making more money at the time selling drugs as a kid. And when he asked me, why am I doing those things? I said, well, I don't know. I just, want to make a little bit of money so I can, have a little bit of fun and just take care of myself. And he really thought, and I was extremely ignorant in life and in health and in wealth and in what was causing my results. And he asked me, interestingly enough, one question that transformed my life. And I don't know if that's where you want to go next, but
yes,
that was my initial conversation with him. Yeah.
And can you tell us about the question?
So, when I told him that, I wanted to get a car and I wanted to have, a little bit of money, go out and have fun. I wanted to get an apartment. He said, but everybody wants those basic needs in life. And when he said, what else do you want? It was a big vision. Initially, I said, I don't really know. And that's when he handed me this goal-setting document. And in this goal-setting document, it said, how much money do you want to earn? What age do you want to retire at? What kind of home do you want to live in? How much do you want to give to charity? And I remember looking at this piece of paper, a few pieces of paper going, what the F is this? Like, how the hell do I know when I want to retire? How much money I want to give to charity? So I want to make enough money for me, forget about giving to any charities. And he said, well, I want you to dream. I want you to think outside of what is right now. And that's when I wrote down, I want to have $3 million net worth by the time I'm 45. I want to have a Mercedes-Benz. I want to have a house. I want to retire my parents. And that's when he looked at this document when I was finished writing. And he said, all of these are doable. He says, but I'm going to ask you one question. And the answer to this question will determine whether you're actually able to achieve it or not. And in the back of my mind, Michael, I was thinking, one question is really going to determine whether I make this amount of money and live this kind of lifestyle. In the back of my mind, I was thinking, yeah, right. And he said to me, he said, son, he says, are you interested in achieving these goals and this dream lifestyle, or are you committed? And I was sat there dumbfounded, like some moron. I was like, interested or committed? And I said to him, I said, well, what's the difference? And he said, if you're interested, you'll come up with stories and excuses why you can't. If you're interested, you won't do whatever it takes to upgrade your knowledge and your skills. He said, if you're interested, you'll allow your present circumstances and your past control your thinking and your behaviors. He says, but if you are committed to achieving this lifestyle, if you're committed to earning that money, if you're committed to helping your parents, if you're committed to making a difference in the world, he says, you will let go of your stories, your reasons, your excuses. You will become the type of person capable of achieving every one of those goals. And then he leaned forward and he said, so are you interested or are you committed? And I was like thinking for a moment, and I was feeling a little uncomfortable. Well, I'm committed, I said. And in that moment, he reached out his hand. I put my hand in his, and he says, in that case, I will be your mentor. And I go, wow, I mean, that's awesome. What's a mentor? I was 19. I was like, I had no freaking idea what a mentor was. I knew like a coach in basketball because I had those. I didn't know what a mentor was. He says, well, I've achieved every one of those goals, so I already know how to achieve them. And if you're committed, I only will work with people that are committed, because I don't want to waste my time with people that are interested. Everybody says they want those things, but very few people are committed. So at that moment, he said, I'll mentor you. And I said, great. And in the back of my mind, again, there was a little bit of a problem that I wondered how we're going to resolve, because I lived 350 miles away from where he lived. I was living in Montreal. He lived in Toronto, Canada. And he says to me, well, the first thing I need you to do is I need you to move to Toronto. I'm like, what do you mean move to Toronto? I don't have a car. I don't have a job here. I don't have a place to live here. He says, stop. Look how fast you're telling me why you can't already. I said, I know, but this is the truth.
What I love so much about this is he is giving you the ultimate pattern interrupt to strip away all past, all habits, blank slate, and now let's input something new, something better.
Well, something better. He also activated, he scared the shit out of me. Because here I am, even though I have a job that I'm making $1.65 at least I have some, security. And he's saying, move from your parents' home, move to Toronto so that I could mentor you, a word I don't even know. And so I started giving him excuses. I said, stop, look how fast you're coming up with stories and reasons and excuses. I said, I know but it's true. He says, everybody thinks their stories and reasons and excuses are true. He says, but it's those who rise above the reasons, the stories, or the excuses that actually end up achieving their goals. And so I said, fine. Like, I'll move to Toronto. I'll figure it out. He says, perfect. That's the first step. And my brother was with me at lunch. And so he says, well, bro, you can move in with me for a while until you get on your feet. I said, okay, great. I'll go home, and I'll get everything ready there. He says, then I'll move. And then Mr. Brown, which was this gentleman's name, he says, by the way, on May the 5th, this was in April, middle of April 1980. He says, on May the 5th, there's a real estate course that's starting. And since I'm in real estate, in development and in real estate sales, I have real estate offices, I want you to sign up for the real estate course and go and learn what I need you to learn the fundamentals for. And I go, you mean go back to school? I said, I hate school. I went to grade 11. I left at grade 11. I failed English. I failed math. I was the top 1% of my class that made the other 99% possible. I said, I was the worst damn student. I hated school. He says, there you go again. Now you're using your education or lack thereof, or that you hate school, and that's going to now prevent you from doing what you need to do. I said, Mr. Brown, who fails English and math in the same year? He says, I don't care about your past. I don't care what you failed or what you passed. All I care about is right now. And if you want me to mentor you, not only do you have to move to Toronto, but you have to go to school for 5 weeks from 9 to 5, and you have to pass a real estate test. I said, pass a test? I cheated on my finals to get out of high school. So, Michael, just to make a long story short, I just kept giving him excuses and stories and reasons, including when he told me I needed $500 to sign up for the course, that I didn't have the money. And he made me commit to doing whatever it takes. So long story short, I made the commitments to move to Toronto. I made the commitment to go back to school. I made the commitment to find the money, which I did. My brother lent me some. My sister, my mother, and father lent me some, and I had about $40 or $60. And I signed up for the real estate course. On May the 5th was the first day. On June the 20th, I actually passed the real estate course. I studied every day. He helped me. Some people in his office helped me. And the reason I remember these dates so vividly is it was the first test I had passed without cheating in years and years and years. And I felt so proud for the first time in my life that not only had I moved, not only had I broken through some of my barriers and beliefs and stories and excuses, but I actually proved to myself that maybe I'm not that dumb. Maybe I'm not stupid. Maybe I can do something other than doing illegal stuff as I did for most of my teen years. And at that moment, June 20th of 1980, was my second breakthrough. The first breakthrough was telling him I'm committed. The second breakthrough was, passing the test on my own. And then he put me on a path to upgrading my knowledge and skills every day by 1 hour so that I would become the type of person that's able to achieve the goals that I had written on, the pieces of paper that he gave me to write on.
How did you, so I got my real estate broker's license, I don't know, decades ago. I went into a place, there was no mentor. I was the bottom part of the 80-20 of the 80-20. I washed out. I had nothing, no way of, okay, John, in essence, my brain got in the way. Mm-hmm. How did you move past? Your brain has two priorities and it's an 800-pound gorilla. How did you move past your mind, which is giving you all the reasons you can't do it? It's looking for safety. It's looking for efficiency. It's looking for a pattern that is gone, which is I go punch a clock.
Yeah. He, as much as, he helped me, he also threw me into the situation that he didn't tell me initially. When he said, you can come work in my real estate office, I didn't even ask him, how much am I going to get paid? But when I started, he says, you're on commission only. And I go,
yep.
What? What do you mean, commission only? What does that mean? And he says, you have to make sales in order to make money so you could eat. And I was like, what do you, I don't know anything about sales. So Basically, what happened that was actually a bit of a godsend was he had several new people starting as real estate agents in his company. I was one of them. There was a guy that was sitting right across from me. His name was Dave. I don't remember Dave's last name, but Dave gave me this sheet of paper, and it had 100 boxes on it. And each box had a number. So the first box had 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120, 135, 150, all the way to 1,500. 100 boxes, $15 increments in each one. And here's what I was taught. Okay, John, here's the drill. Here's a script. Here's a phone book. Take the phone book of the houses that are just behind the office, and you go to the first phone number. And here's what you do. Here's the script. And I had a script, on a piece of paper and a little thing that says, "Hi, this is John Assaraf with Allen Brown Real Estate Company, and we have somebody who's looking to buy a home in the neighborhood. Are you interested in selling your home?" And that's what I sounded like, if not worse, the first time. And if they said yes, I had another script. I said, "Awesome. Can my broker and I come over today at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock be better? Because we want to be well educated on your home so we can explain it to our buyer." If they said 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, I already had times that I could book an appointment. If they said no, we don't want to sell a house, I said, "Thank you. Oh, by the way, do you know if any of the neighbors are interested in selling? Have you talked to any of them?" If they said yes, great. If they said no, I'd say, "By the way, when would you be committed to selling your house or interested in selling your house?" So the first week, I learned a script. First, on a piece of paper. Then I could recite it like I'm reciting it right now because I remember it from 40 years ago, basically. And so what happened is not only was I doing that, but there were other people who were new in my little office that were all making phone calls. And I had to make 100 calls a day. So what he did was he put me in an environment where I could learn, I could grow, I could be corrected because there was a manager there. And then there was this one guy, Dave, that was right across from me that had been doing this for several months. And Dave was making about $15,000 a month back in 1980. And he'd been with the company for just 90 days. So I'm like, oh my God, if I keep doing this, my rewards could be that. And so he gave me some structure. He gave me some management. He gave me a script to learn. And I just got better and better and better as time went along. And in the first year working with Mr. Brown, I ended up paying him $31,000. And I know that because I made $31,000 as well, which was $6,000 more than my father did as a cab driver. So all of a sudden, with zero skills, zero knowledge, zero belief in myself, I had somebody who was willing to mentor me and coach me and show me how I can versus why I couldn't.
Woohoo! Let's go from there and let's talk about buffing your brain, about rewiring the mind, because not all of us, particularly during this COVID time, have the team by our side right now. We may be at home doing it. What are the 3 core neuromuscles?
Sure. So when we think of our physical muscles, we all know Jack LaLanne, made exercise popular with, exercising your chest and your legs and your buttocks and all that stuff. Well, we all have the most powerful organism in the entire universe called your brain. Well, what if we said that our brain is also made up of neuromuscles? So what if I said to you that focus, for example, is a neuromuscle that you could develop through innercising? What if I shared with you that awareness, is a neuromuscle that you could learn to become more aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your sensations? What if I shared with you you can learn how to become aware without judging yourself, blaming yourself, shaming yourself, feeling guilty, or justifying? Well, if we just take the core neuromuscle of awareness, it's awareness that gives us choice, and choice is what gives us freedom. Now, the question is, what do I need to be more aware of? And the answer is your patterns, whether it's patterns of thought. Am I thinking positively? Am I thinking negatively? Are my thoughts constructive or destructive? Are my thoughts empowering me or disempowering me? Now, what if I did that only to see how my neural networks or the conditioning I've had for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, okay, have been wired in my brain? Because our thoughts are automatic. And so they're coming up from our subconscious mind, and these thoughts are being triggered either by external stimuli that triggers an association, and then we have a thought, or our thoughts are percolating because we're thinking about something which is different than thoughts. We're thinking about something, and that triggers, one of trillions of thoughts that we have in our subconscious mind. Well, in a state of awareness, we can then say, do I want to reinforce this thought pattern? Do I want to reinforce this emotional pattern? Do I want to reinforce this behavioral pattern, and habits that are driving my life? Or, as you wisely mentioned earlier, Michael, do I want to interrupt it and create a brand new one? Now, when we understand our brains just a little bit better, right? Our brain is operating to keep us alive, survival. Our brains wanting to keep us in our comfort zone and avoid any pain or discomfort. But our brain wants to do those two first things and conserve energy. So we become creatures of habit. And if our habits drive our behaviors, which drive our results, wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't it be very smart of us to deliberately, to consciously evolve ourselves by being aware of our patterns? And as I mentioned earlier, without judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification, just awareness.
Thank you.
And then saying, this pattern isn't going to help me be happier, healthier, more in tune, more productive, more successful, whether it's in health, wealth, relationships, career, or business, doesn't matter. Let me switch patterns. So if I say, okay, I want to switch patterns, then we ask ourselves, okay, what is a positive, constructive, empowering thought that I would like to have? What if I could choose that? And then what if I could repeat that and emotionalize it and behave in ways that match that thought? And over the course of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, that new pattern would override old patterns that might be disempowering me. What if, because of the latest neuroscience, which shows us that we need about 66 days to 365 days to deactivate an old pattern and reintegrate a new pattern that becomes a dominant pattern? What if every day I deliberately chose to use, let's say, declarations or affirmations? What if every day I decided to feel the way that I want to? What if every day I took inspired action and overrode, my desire not to? What if every day I did that for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and I taught myself to develop new patterns that were more in line with the vision and goals and dreams that I have? Would that then mean that I am now in control of my life? Would that mean that I'm now being deliberate instead of reactive and automatic? And the answer is yes.
Thank you. So how do we then install this new habit? Because this is the difference, installing this, between saying, I want to get fit, I'll work out sometime today, and knowing that 6:55 each morning, I'm driving to the gym, it's happening no matter what.
Yeah. So the first thing that I share with all of my students and friends and my children is, remember the third hierarchy of our brain? It's conservation of energy. So whenever we have a vision or a goal, our brain initially gets excited and says, yeah, that would be great. I'm going to look great. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to have more money. I'm going to be in a better relationship. I'm going to be healthier, blah, 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 blah. The very next moment or second, our brain goes, Oh yeah, but you got to wake up in the morning. You want me to read what? You want me to stop? You want me to stop eating what? Oh God, I love late. So our brain has got almost like this Einstein Frankenstein, part to it. So what I do for any new habit that I want is I follow a couple of rules of the brain. So if I want to install a new habit, I ask myself, what is the least amount of work that I could do initially that I can commit to and follow through on for 100 days? So whatever it is, a lot of people say, I'm going to go to the gym every day for an hour. I say, no, get up and do something for 1 minute for 100 days. So here's what happens. If you get up and do the minimal amount, you actually don't resist yourself. You don't have your Frankenstein brain resisting. So if you want to get in better shape, get up and move for 1 minute. Walk around in your house for 1 minute. Do one sit-up, one push-up, one stretch, one something for 1 minute for 100 days. Now, why? And the answer is, if I could develop the habitual pattern that takes conscious effort first and move it into a subconscious pattern which runs automatic, it's called automaticity, I can always add intensity and duration afterwards.
On top of that, you are building the confidence muscle because you're believing yourself. You actually achieved something. And so there is a greater reward.
That's right. So whenever we don't do something, let me rephrase that. Whenever we don't follow through on something we say we want to and are going to, we actually hurt our self-image and self-worth, and we reinforce disempowering beliefs about ourselves. So I tell all my clients, do you want to have the identity of a starter or a finisher? Which one? Let's choose which one. So they say, I want to be a finisher. I said, good, because finishers are the ones who win, right? Starters, they start. But if you want to be a finisher, what do you prefer to do? Do you want to start for 10 days and then stop, or do you want to start and finish 100 consecutive days? And everybody says, I prefer to finish 100 consecutive days. I says, let's make it impossible for you not to win. Right? Let's make it impossible for you not to win versus, is it possible for me to win? Right? And so when we reduce it to the ridiculously small, we reduce the neural tension, the emotional tension, the physical tension, and then we're a finisher. Because there isn't anybody that I've met that can't find 1 minute in a day. Maybe 10, maybe it's hard some days. Maybe half an hour, hard. Maybe to drive here, to go back, yeah. But can you start off with 1 minute? Because here's what happens. When we activate the motivational center of our brain, we're releasing dopamine. If it's challenging us a little bit, we might release a little bit of the stress hormone that'll actually get us going. And if we keep doing that, our brain goes, wow, I really like this because it's a feel-good neurochemical. And so now I have the physical benefit, the emotional benefit, the biological benefit. But more than that, there's a spiritual benefit that I believe every human being gets when he or she follows through and fulfills and meets some of their potential that they know is within them. But what happens is when we keep falling short of achieving our goals because of our habits, which many people don't understand, then we just keep setting ourselves up for failure. And one of the greatest fears that people have that not a lot of people talk about, it's called disappointment avoidance. So disappointment avoidance goes like this. I've tried to do this before so many times that instead of disappointing myself or my husband or wife or children or my friend or my business partner or my church or my synagogue, let me just keep playing small so I don't have to face that again. And most people prefer to master disappointment than mastering change. Right? And why? Because mastering disappointment, okay, is safe. And mastering change takes effort. So if we can reduce the effort required to change so that you can win, now we're building self-image, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth. And that is the easiest way to build coherent, positive, constructive, empowering neural patterns that then develop you.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
When I'm coaching someone, if you want to get up Everest, if you take a step a day, you'll eventually get there. You want to write a book, you write a page a day. You've got a 180-page book in half a year. I want to go from there from one that's really challenging, and then we're going to double back to this beautiful word of coherence. But before we do that, you gave yourself a massive challenge a few years ago. What can you tell us about sugar, birthdays, and the Encore Hotel?
Sugar, birthdays, alcohol, and the Encore Hotel in Las Vegas. So I happen to have an addictive personality. And so my life is all or nothing. There is no in between. So whether if I'm eating sugar, I don't have a cookie, I have 10. If I'm eating a slice of cake, there's no way it's a slice of cake. It's 3, 4, 5 slices. When I used to drink alcohol, which was the thing about 10 years ago, I wouldn't have a cocktail, I'd have a bottle of wine every night. And so I learned a lot about, the nature of my brain and other people's brains through some of my addictive behaviors. And so one of my good friends, Robert May, was taking me to Las Vegas for my birthday, of all things. And so we were staying at the Encore Hotel, and I'd stayed there before. And the last time I had stayed at the Encore Hotel, when I went down to the buffet, which was unbelievable, they had like 8 tables of desserts. And the time I was there before, I didn't eat any of the regular food. I just went to the dessert table and had carrot cake and chocolate cake and bread pudding and banana I just had a bunch of dessert, and it felt great at the time. And then I went and laid outside and probably slept for 3 hours. So this time, knowing that we're going to go eat in the same restaurants in the same place, I knew that it's going to trigger my desire, my wanting to have the same desserts. So what I did beforehand is I actually went online. I got pictures of the Encore Hotel's buffet. I put it up in front of me on my computer. On several occasions, I actually got dessert, and I put it in front of me, real desserts, and I practiced being there and saying no. And I even would take a fork, pick up a piece of carrot cake, smell it, put it right to my mouth, and then go, no. And what I did, I can't remember if it was a week or 2 weeks beforehand, I mentally rehearsed being in control so that when I actually got there, the mental rehearsal of saying no and having willpower and having control was already a pattern I practiced. And you know what? I went there, I sat right near the dessert tables, I looked at them, I walked by them, and I didn't have one dessert.
Woohoo! What was your reward? What did you do? What was your carrot for holding the carrot cake and not eating it?
The reward was how I would feel about me. I didn't give myself a physical reward type of thing. I gave myself an emotional reward of I can be in control when I make up my mind. I can override this pattern. Listen, when I was a kid, true story, my mother was a great baker, cookies, cakes. I ate bags of candies as kids. If you looked inside my mouth at 59 years old, you would see fillings everywhere because of all of the cavities I have. So I ate bags of candies, cookies, and cakes. I would have stomach aches from all the cookies and cakes I would eat. And so it gave me the self-confidence, the self-image that I am not disempowered as I think I am, even with an addiction to sugar. So I wanted to practice and I wanted to train my brain to have that power, to have that ability. And so I practiced what every athlete practices. They practice visualizing. They practice what's called mental rehearsal or mental contrasting. So I saw myself, I saw the cake, I saw myself not eating it. Whereas in the past, the pattern that I would have and see was the desire was there, the trigger was there, and I'd follow through every single time. It would, right? The sugar would win over me.
What's fascinating, and don't keep on, this is just too fun to play with, then we're going to get to coherence here, is you had rewired your reward center so that you got more dopamine, a bigger dopamine rush by coming to the edge of the cliff, John, and putting it down, and coming to the edge and putting it down. And then you get there, and this is going to give you your biggest rush to be able to be right there and step away.
Yeah, there was another thing that was really important, and you just triggered my memory. When we're dealing with changing behaviors and habits and triggers and patterns, because there's something called a habit loop where there's a trigger, a behavior, and the reward, right? And so whether it's the thinking of the dessert or having the dessert in front of me triggers a desire for it. Normally, I would eat it. The anticipation would create the dopamine release. Eating it would create a little bit more. The behavior would create a little bit more, and then the reward was, I'd feel satiated. Oh my God! But then I'd feel afterwards. But there was a lot of research done that if you are aware, comes back to our awareness. If you're aware of the trigger, and you change the behavior, and you create a meaning for that behavior that's as good as what you thought of by following through with the behavior, then you still get that dopamine release. And in my case, I asked myself, if I could do this 1 time, 3 times, 5 times, what would that mean about me? What would that say about me? What would that mean about me? Who would that mean that I am? How would it change my story? How would it change my willpower? How would it change my confidence, my certainty? And did I want that more than the dessert? And the answer was abso-effing-lutely. And it's exactly the same thing I did with alcohol. And so really, really good distinction that you reminded me of.
Thank you. Let's go briefly from there, and then we're going to talk about goal setting and planning before we wrap things up.
Sure.
But you mentioned the word coherent. Can you tell us about dissonance and or discordance, for that matter, and coherence?
Sure. So whenever we have a vision, of what we want, a vision, a goal, that we haven't yet achieved. Maybe it's because we have limiting beliefs, we have self-esteem issues, we have fears, and we don't have the knowledge or the skills. There's this gap, right? There's this discourse or dissonance. There's this tension between where I really am and that vision and the goal that I have. And that dissonance causes us to feel, whether it's stress or anxiety or uncertainty or doubtful or fearful. And for most people, that's what holds them back. So the dissonance holds them back. And coherence means that you are in alignment with the vision, the goals that you have. And so one of the models that I teach and that I live with is called the SEMP model, S-E-M-P. And my personal belief is that I have a physical body. I have my organs, my muscles, my tissues, my bones, the 9 or 12 systems, hopefully that work synergistically in my body to create health and well-being. But I also, and I look at the physical body as being the lowest vibrational thing that I am. The spiritual side of my body is those 100 trillion cells that have coalesced through 23X and 23Y chromosomes that are keeping my DNA from DNA together, and this intelligence within me that is keeping it all together, that's breathing me, that's dividing cells and killing cells and creating cells and growing hair and growing nails and digesting food and taking in the right amount of oxygen that I need from the hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon that I'm breathing in with every breath. And it's making it all work. That's the really super spiritual, intelligent part of me. And in between the spiritual and the physical, I have emotions and I have mental faculties that make up part of my mindset. So the question I have is, if everything is or was created from this intelligent spiritual realm, from the no thing or from the ethers, whatever you want to call it, from the stuff we cannot see through our physical eyes or hear, through the very limited audio abilities that we have, auditory abilities that we have, is it possible that I can align my spiritual, all-knowing, omnipotent, omnipresent me with managing my emotions better, with managing my mindset better, so that this physical body moves into action and is in resonance, in harmony, in coherence with everything that I want to create that's already here right now? I just need to tune in and resonate like a radio receiver tunes into a certain channel or frequency. Can I use my brain to tune in? Can I align my mindset and my emotions and my physical body so I'm doing the right things in the right order at the right time? And so that is a state of coherence and harmony instead of a state of dissonance.
Thank you. So let's go from there and let's talk about goals and coherent goals for that matter. What's wrong with the question, how can I earn more money?
There's so many different answers to that, and so a better question is, why do I think I can't earn as much money as I want to? And so if money is just a means of exchange on this planet Earth, and money is a form of energy, and there's an abundance of all the money that you could ever want, wouldn't it make more sense to say, how much money do I want to earn? And then how much value can I bring into the marketplace so that there's this exchange of energy between my product, service, knowledge, or skill with the money that I want to earn? Right? So I think that we can earn however amount of money we want when we understand that there was a time where we didn't even have money. There was a time where we exchanged coins, seashells, chocolate. It was a means of exchange, right? So when we lived in tribes, people had certain things that did. When the tribes, moved further apart, one tribe was good at fishing, one tribe was good at hunting, one tribe was good at making baskets, another tribe was good at picking fruit, and people would just exchange, right? And then we developed this monetary system to represent money. And so money is one of the easiest things to earn, to make, when you understand how to get in alignment with it, but also how to provide value in the marketplace, so the marketplace wants to provide you with that reward for fair exchange. So that is my mindset on money is very, very different than most people's.
What more can you tell us about it? Because particularly at this time, and while I'd love this to be evergreen, we're in COVID right now, which means our minds are kind of warped, all of us on some level, toward money. Although I look at this time period as an amplifier. We can actually use it to catapult us forward. How are you seeing money right now?
If we think about the amount of money that was in the marketplace 6 months ago, the same amount of money, if not more, is in the marketplace right now. Agree? Yeah, and in a lot of cases, we have governments that have actually put more money into the marketplace, just to put some Band-Aids on some stuff. So there's no less money in the marketplace today than there was 6 months ago. So my question is, have some people over the last 6 months, 5 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 month gotten wealthier, and other people have gotten poorer? And the answer is yes. And the question is, why? Is it possible that some people are operating from a state of fear and uncertainty and doubt and lack of confidence and lack of skill? Yes. Is it possible that some people are operating out of a sense of certainty and confidence because they have the skills and they know what to do in these specific scenarios? Yes. One of the things that I do with a lot of my clients, I have hundreds of business clients in our programs, and I have a huge number of them, whether they're hair salon owners, whether they are doctors, lawyers, that are making more money right now than they were before this coronavirus. Why? Because they follow something that I taught them back in February and March was, you have to be an adaptationist right now. You have to adapt to the marketplace. Many years ago, I was in the Galapagos Islands and I was retracing Darwin's routes on the Beagle. And I brought back a hat that says, evolve or become extinct. We are having a major shift, okay, in the markets, in jobs, in confidence, in certainty, in products, in services, in innovation and what's happening. And just because you were comfortable yesterday doesn't mean anything. There's the rules of life that you would like to have, and then there's the real rules of life. And right now, we are experiencing a moment that we have not seen, okay, in 100 years. It's once in a century. And if you're going to sit there and whine and complain, if you're going to sit there and go, but I'm waiting for things to get back to normal, nature doesn't think twice about inflicting capital punishment. Right? I'm really sorry. It's like, that's crude. I mean, it's very, very crude. And I've lost a family member to coronavirus, my mother, in 6 days. So I know what's going on at a very deep level. And I don't want to minimize that for just a moment. But when we're talking about right now, you have to be at your highest level of spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical sharpness. Because businesses are failing. People are losing their jobs. People are having a hard time putting food on the table. People are dying. So when would now be a good time to get healthier? When would now be a good time to upgrade your skills? When would now be a good time to adapt? When would now be a good time to pivot? When would now be a good time to figure it out? Right now. All right, because if you're sitting there waiting on the sidelines, you're going to find that the world that you knew no longer exists. And you're going to either play the victim or you're going to somehow, some way become victorious over the next, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years. Everything has just changed. So you can't remain the same hoping it's going to come back to normal. We don't even know what the new normal is going to be. All we know is that we're in chaos right now. But what we do know is out of all chaos comes order, and usually a higher degree of order that existed before the chaos. So we happen to be in this, I think, hopefully once in a lifetime, okay, scenario where all of you is required right now. All of you is required to figure it out, become more, learn more, adapt more, and show up at your highest, best self right now. Let your stories, your excuses, your reasons, leave those by the wayside. Now is not the time for them. You can either have success or you can have your excuses. You just can't have them at the same time.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What I've been telling everybody on the show, coaching, our classes, everything, if not now, then when? And what you're saying is chaos, like fear, is actually positive fuel. We're taking ourselves from having, 5 years, 2,000 shows here sitting at this desk, and we're throwing ourselves in an RV, and we're going around the country having this tour to find people who are doing positive things during this time to show what is possible.
Listen, this is going to define many people right now, right? Did you rise up to the occasion and overcome whatever, I'm going to say, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, financial challenge you have, or did it override and control you. Here's the beauty of what we're talking about, Michael. Unfortunately, 90+% of people don't listen to your show. 90+% of people don't read personal development books, don't do things to motivate themselves, don't upgrade their knowledge, don't upgrade their skills, don't upgrade their abilities, which means they're like deer in headlights right now wondering what's going to happen, which means there's less competition, which means this is an opportunity to look for the right business. This is the opportunity to pivot your business, the opportunity to brand better. This is your opportunity to make more sales, get more followers, get more clients right now. Now, the key is to focus your brain on how you can because you must. Not why you can't because of all your stories, reasons, excuses, and the marketplace and the economy and coronavirus. So I'm not going to dismiss the severity and seriousness of coronavirus at all. We can have both at the same time. However, what I can promise everybody is right now is an opportunity for you to step up. Right now is an opportunity for you to become everything you are capable of becoming. You are being given a gift of this opportunity, and all you've got to do to start is make a decision. Cut off from any other option right now and figure out how you can. And here's I'm gonna give everybody just a very quick exercise to do to prove my point. I want you to imagine that right now you have to double your income. Just imagine you have to double your income. But there's all of these circumstances of why you can't. I want you to think about one person that you love, like you really love this person. It could be a husband, a wife, a son, a daughter, a friend, whatever, even a pet that you love. I want you to imagine that you just set a goal to double your income. Or you've set a goal to lose 20 or 30 pounds of fat, and you have to do it healthy, in a healthy way over, let's say, 6 months or 8 months, whatever your time frame is. And I want you to think of that person or this pet that you love, and I want you to think about this. If you don't figure out how to let go of your stories, your excuses, your reasons, the market, or whatever you're using as your reason why you can't do it right now, if you don't figure it out, you will never see that person again 6 months or 12 months from now. What would you do differently? Like, what would you do? Would you figure it out no matter what? Well, of course you would, because it's easier to figure it out than to deal with the consequence of not seeing them again, right? So why not create leverage for yourself by just saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Once and for all in my life, I'm going to draw a line in the sand and say, that's it. No more stories, no more excuses, or disempowering emotions, no more blaming the market or this or that as the reason why I'm being held back. Because whatever it is that you say to yourself, whatever it is that you believe is going to drive your behavior, it's going to activate or deactivate the genius part of your brain. And so don't you want the Einstein brain to come forth and to help you? Or are you going to let the old, Frankenstein brain try to keep you back? So there's a couple of things I feel passionately about, Michael, as you can tell.
I love it. And I'm just going to add to it one line that you're already saying. And it's what I learned after my first near-death experience. If I didn't want to literally die on the table or the next day, I had to let go of my story and victimhood and focus on what's in front of me. We need to rip the damn rear view mirror right out of the car.
You got it. Yeah, you just have to make a commitment, right? That you can't focus on what you might give up. You have to focus on what you're going to gain. And that's where your attention and focus needs to be starting right this second.
Thank you. So where can people go to find your brain-changing, success-building, game-changing, life-changing, change or die book, Innercise?
So Innercise, the new science to unlock your brain's hidden powers, available on Amazon and bookstores. You can find me on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Any last words of wisdom? I'm going quiet and I'm seeing what can I possibly add to this? And I just want to know any last words of wisdom you want to share with people.
billions of years of our solar system being developed for a million or so years of humans walking on Earth from Homo erectus to Homo sapien. This brain of ours has been developing. We can't recreate this for $100 billion. You already own one. You and I, we own the most powerful biocomputer organism that we can't even fathom how brilliant and phenomenal it is. I encourage you, implore you, nudge you, learn a little bit more about how to use what you already own a little bit better. And I promise you, you can achieve every one of your goals and dreams faster and easier than ever before. Not fast and easy, but faster and easier, with less stress and with a lot less effort versus a lot more work.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's a mighty woohoo!
Woohoo!
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get Innercise, and begin rewiring your mind for success today and shine bright. Woohoo! I just had the most beautiful, powerful, out of the park, inspiring, on fire, Innercise interview with John Assaraf. Check out our boot camps. We're going to help you blast past your subconscious blocks by clicking on the link below. Be sure to check out our mini master classes as well. That's that link below. And I have a very limited availability for one-on-one coaching with me. So to check out more incredible interviews on building your brain strong and blasting past your subconscious blocks for success, click here, subscribe below. Be sure to click on the bell icon to be notified of upcoming shows, YouTube premieres, and live events every Sunday night with me. Thumbs up if you like this. Leave your comments below. Love you guys so, so much. Shine bright. Woohoo! Love you guys.